Y'all need to get healthy. God is telling me to tell y'all need to get healthy. I look around at the grocery store and I get so sad because of how many people look like they're struggling with a lot of health conditions. And I don't like to see people suffer. So let's get into this. You have to start to get healthy, you have to start transitioning yourself from one unhealthy item and transition to something healthier for you. So here is an example. Um, Lots of examples anyway. Alcoholic beverages, one of the worst things you could do for your body. They're terrible for your liver. They invite demons. Get rid of alcoholic beverages. If you have to transition from drinking alcohol, take red wine in moderation. Look for the kind that's organic, sulfite free, or it'll say no added sulfites. You don't need to have the sulfites. They give headaches anyway. And if you ask Jesus, he will take away the desire to drink. So if you're having trouble with alcoholism or alcohol abuse, ask Jesus to take away the desire to drink. He's done that for probably millions and millions of people. He took away my desire for alcohol very quickly when I asked him. Okay, another one, tobacco with the additives. Okay, so I smoked for years and Jesus helped me to quit. It took a long time because that is a very pervasive addiction. Tobacco is not worse than alcohol, though. Alcohol is the worst that you can do to your body. But tobacco with additives, that's most all the tobacco out there. Most all of the tobacco products have multiple chemical additives, like an exhaustive list. And you can look that up online and find out what the list is. But one of those ingredients is formaldehyde. I think there's arsenic in there. It's just poison. Don't take that poison. Okay, so one thing that you can do as a temporary alternative until you can totally quit smoking is you can use the patch, electronic cigarettes, Nicorette gum, or you can do the non-additive tobacco for a while, and that would be like Native, American Spirit, and I think Winston has an alternative. And I'm not being paid by any of these people. I'm just telling you brands that I know about. Okay, and then next you need to go to the shelf-stable sugary or salty snacks that are made with man-made ingredients. And if you try to, you'll see on the list a lot of man-made ingredients, things that are just not natural. And even if they say natural flavors or natural colors, sometimes those aren't really natural. Okay, so you need to switch your your little snack cakes and your cookies and your crackers and all those things. Some chips are fairly natural. You might find like some organic chips that are only, potato chips, potatoes, salt, and oil. But we know that oils aren't that great for us either. And a lot of salt is not really good for you. So start eliminating, going to like lower salt alternatives. Okay. These are not necessarily in order because you can start, if something's easier for you to get rid of, you start there. Start with what's easy. Work towards the hardest. Highly processed meat of factory farmed animals. Most animals are factory farmed in horrible conditions, inhumane conditions. I don't want to get into that in this video. I don't want to cry today. So let's just say, the food that's high in nitrates first, start with that one. Hot dogs, bacon, sausage. That has been found to be cancer causing, particularly colon cancer. So I knew someone who passed from cancer and started in his colon, and he ate every single day some type of highly processed pig product, hot dogs, bacon, or sausage, nearly every single day of his life. And he's not alive anymore. I hope he's in heaven though. But so you can, the temporary alternative, because eventually you want to go vegan. Okay, y'all, I'm vegan, and I'm telling you that it's very good for you, but not all vegan diets are created equal, because there are shelf-stable, sugary, salty snacks that are vegan too. You don't want to stay there. You can't stay there. I'm a high raw vegan, eating mostly raw organic fruits and vegetables. I'll get into my diet in just a minute. Okay, so organic, pasture-raised, and grass-fed with no antibiotics. That's the kind of meat you want to look for as you're transitioning from an unhealthy diet that's going to make you sick in the future. I'm not cursing you with that. I'm just saying that probably, most likely, because there's a law of sowing and reaping, and if you're eating unhealthy things that are damaging your temple, then you're going to probably get sick, okay? And you can only blame yourself if you're not going to change, so you need to change. All right, here we go. Seed oils. Everybody's been talking about that lately. Y'all probably already know sunflower oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, etc. There's a bunch of them that are unhealthy. But if you go to fruit oils like olive oil, avocado oil, those are healthier for you and they're vegan. Butter and ghee is not vegan, but it is preferable right now as you're transitioning to not have rancid sunflower oils or other seed oils. Okay, next. Sodas. Sodas are very damaging to the body because they are highly acidic. Okay? Soda, it's not natural to drink carbonated beverages. So stop drinking carbonated beverages. That was one of the first things I gave up. I used to have a Diet Coke habit. It was one of the first things that God helped me quit. That is how toxic it was. And it doesn't matter if it's sugar-free. It doesn't matter. It's not the sugars. It's the carbonation itself that is not good for the human body. It actually leaches calcium from the bones to buffer the acids that are flooding your system. Your body cannot be that acidic and be healthy. Okay, so good alternatives are tea, coffee, lemonade, flavored water, coconut water, and cold pressure processed juice. That's what the CPP stands for. Okay, next. All animal flesh. Eventually you want to stop eating all animals. Stop eating animals. And it will be helpful to you to stop eating animals if you will look into what happens to them on the farm. That will help you. It helped me. I don't want to go into it here. Like I said, I don't want to cry today, but it's really atrocious what happens to those animals. But also, human body is not actually designed to eat animal flesh. We're not designed for it. Our teeth are designed for grinding fruit. We don't have large canine teeth like a cat or a dog or a bear even. We're not even omnivores. Bears have these large canines because they can eat fish and stuff. We're not even supposed to do that. Our intestines are not short to, like cat intestines are very short comparatively to our intestines, because short intestines are designed to hurry up and push out the meat, whereas long intestines are designed to extract the nutrients from the vegetation, and ours are very long. Our intestines are very long. And I could go on and on. The stomach acid of a human is not designed for meat because meat is highly acidic. It's really hard on the body to break down because we're just not designed for it. Our hands are designed for plucking. Our hands are designed for plucking fruit. We have this plucking, the plucking motion. See? Plucking the fruit. Okay? We're not designed for, we don't have very long, strong claws that are designed to tear flesh. We're not designed to, chase down an animal and rip it open with our teeth. We're just not designed for it, y'all. Okay, so some meat substitutes in the beginning would be Morningstar Farm, Corn, Guardian, Boca Burgers, Tofurkey. They're good, but they also have there's a lot of ingredients. So you look at the ingredient list on those, and they're really long ingredient list, and they're not organic. I wish they would make organic ones, but they don't. And some of them aren't even vegan. They're vegetarian because they have some dairy and some eggs even. So they're not, I think Morningstar Farm is not all organic. Not all, none of them organic, but not all vegan or vegetarian even. Okay, so then you want something simpler. Jackfruit, they make a meat substitute with jackfruit. Avocado, that's what I use mostly. I'm just using avocado because I'm a high raw vegan. So my meat substitute is avocado. Tofu, I did that for a long time. Tofu is very simple. It doesn't have a lot of ingredients. It's just soybeans. It's just fermented soybeans and water and salt. And it's gotten a really bad rap, probably because it's not that bad for you. And people have been eating it for thousands of years. And it hasn't hurt anybody. They're just making up stuff to try to keep you from eating healthy. Tempeh, well, you don't want the non-organic, though. I will say that. Like soybeans, there's a lot of genetically modified soybeans out there, so you want organic tofu. Also, tempeh is another option. And so let's move on from that. Okay, so you want to go from white bread to sprouted grain bread. Or even if that's too much for you to jump to, you could go to a whole grain bread. Just like a whole multigrain or whole wheat. But you don't want white bread. White bread is highly processed. And I don't know a lot about rice, but I know they were saying there's arsenic in rice. So I think just avoid rice and go with quinoa or some other natural grain substitute. And for dairy, that was the hardest one for me to quit, y'all. It was the hardest one to quit because I love, dairy. But I just recently was able to finally stop with dairy. So milk, cheese, butter, sour cream, yogurt, etc. The reason why you want to quit dairy, especially cheese, is because they actually unalive baby cows and they take their stomach out and they take the lining out of their stomach and it creates something called rennet. And I was in denial for so long, y'all, but they unalive baby cows. And also the milk industry has to keep the mother cows pregnant. And if it's not organic milk, they pump them up with unnatural hormones. If it's organic milk, they have to have babies all the time. But they don't let those babies be with the mama. They separate the babies from the mama. And they don't even let those baby animals, those baby cows, they don't let them have the mama's milk. It's very sad. It's like it's almost more sad than the flesh industry. So the animal flesh industry of factory farming. It's awful. Even the organic. So if you have a heart, if you have compassion, I know it's delicious and I know it's addictive. Very delicious, very addictive, but you've got to get away from it. We have to be better than this, people. We have to prove that we are made in the image and likeness of God. And when he gave us dominion in the Garden of Eden, he did it for us to take care of everything. When you see a video of somebody rescuing an animal, doesn't it just pull your heart and make you cry, Like, oh, they rescued that animal, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be rescuing the animals and I said I wasn't going to cry today. We're supposed to be rescuing the animals and taking care of the animals. Okay, let's move on. So good milk substitutes you can find coconut, almond. They're going to be they're in the dairy case. And there's a bunch of them. There's oat milk. There's all these. But you know what the thing about those is? They have a lot of ingredients. So it's not necessary. I mean, it's better on one hand. It's definitely more humane and definitely cruelty free. But on the other hand, is it better for your health? Probably a bit. But I would say that, humans are not designed to drink cow's milk. We're designed as babies to have our mother's milk. And other animals' milks is made for their babies. It's not ours. We've been greedy and selfish and taking from them something that really doesn't rightfully belong to us. And if you think about a person down on all fours with their mouth on a cow's udder, and if that makes you go ew, then it's not designed for us. Otherwise that would be like, oh yeah, that's totally natural for a human being to suck from a cow teat. No. No. Okay, so my dairy substitute these days is avocado because it's raw. But also tofu, and they make many, that also soy, but that's not raw, and tofu is not really raw. So if you're going to the high raw vegan, you want probably avocado, durian. Durian has that kind of creamy texture. Bananas, you can use bananas to create your creamy things. if it's you can also use like plantains or anything that you can mush up and you can add ingredients to. I think you can make like a raw vegan mayonnaise from bananas. And I know you can from avocado, but you can also make it from slightly unripe bananas that aren't sweet yet. Okay, so then eventually you want to go from non-organic produce. This is about getting healthy. This is get it healthy. This is about getting healthy. To be the healthiest you could be. So you don't have to go to the hospital. You don't have to go to the doctors. You take care of your health. And it's cheaper too if you take care of your health. You want to go from non-organic produce, especially the Dirty Dozen, and to organic produce. And people are like, oh, but it's so expensive. You know what's more expensive than organic produce? Staying in the hospital. Staying in the hospital because you were stubborn and you're like, I'm just going to eat chemicals. Because the non-organic produce, they grow that stuff in sewage. They can grow it in sewage sludge. That means human sewage can be fertilizer for non-organic produce. Also, non-organic produce has pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and CIDE means DEATH. Somebody spell that. Somebody say that. What did I just spell? That's what CIDE means. So if you understand that we are all connected, we're connected to nature. Our bodies are natural. And anything you do to nature, it can come to us too. Just because it takes longer doesn't mean that we can't be poisoned by these same things that are poisoning the bugs and poisoning the funguses. Here's the Dirty Dozen list, okay? When all these products, you should buy them organic because they are known to have the highest levels of pesticides. Here we go. Spinach, ranked number 1 highest in pesticides. Strawberries, kale, collard, and mustard greens, grapes, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, blackberries, blueberries, cherries, and potatoes. Okay, so if you're going to be healthy, you want to, and you want to save some money, you don't want to buy all your produce organic, at least buy these organic. Now I'm going to show you the Clean 15. The Clean 15 are those that are not grown organically. They're grown conventionally, but they have the least amount of pesticide residues because they usually have some kind of covering on them, and you're not going to eat the covering. You're not going to eat the peel, in other words. So avocados, sweet corn, pineapple, papaya, onions, frozen sweet peas. I don't know why it's just the frozen ones. Isn't that interesting? Asparagus, honeydew, kiwi, cabbage, mangoes, watermelon, mushrooms, sweet potatoes, and carrots. The ones with little stars next to them are the things that I like. I'm like, oh, I like that one. So I put stars. Because I actually made this list just for me to carry to the grocery store. So you might want to do the same thing. You know, you can use your phone. I am low tech. I am definitely analog and not digital, y'all. But yeah, I just wrote this list and I carry it with me to the grocery store so that I can save a little money sometimes. So you may be saying at this point, well, what can I eat? That's almost everything. Okay, so the most healthy diet that we can eat, other than being a pronarian or breatharian, like Jasmine, but the most healthiest diet we can eat is raw, organically grown fruits and veggies. This is also known as the Eden diet. This is what Adam and Eve were instructed to eat. They were instructed to eat the fruit. The herbs bearing seed means fruit because the fruit has the seed in it. That's how you can distinguish a fruit from a vegetable. A fruit has the seeds in it, and vegetables are typically like roots of a plant or leaves of a plant, but they are not the fruit of the plant. I hope that helps. Okay, so some of the things you can eat other than raw fruits and veggies is raw sauerkraut. And I'm going to show you some of this right now. Let me do this. Hang on. There's the organic raw sauerkraut and raw olives, usually Kalamata, because the green ones they put lye in most of the green olives. So I know green olives are delicious, but lye is a chemical that's not good for you. Okay, so raw nuts and seeds. There's a problem with raw nuts and seeds, though, y'all. They're almost impossible to find Because even if you go to the health food store or any place that says raw nut, raw pecans, raw walnuts, they're not. They're not really raw. They're calling raws because they don't roast. They're not roasted or salted. So most of the nuts that you find, they're only calling them raw because they're not roasted and salted, but they are pasteurized and they will not sprout. So you've got to find raw nuts and seeds that you can sprout. And it's really easy to sprout something. You just need to get a sprouting jar. And you can find one at, it's just basically a mason jar with a special top on it that enables you to drain out the water without draining out the seeds. And you can find that at the health food store, maybe even a regular grocery store at this point. But what I found is that only the nuts and seeds that are designed to feed birds and squirrels in your yard are actually raw, because you can take the sunflower seeds from bird seed and you can put them in a jar and they will sprout. The problem with them is they're not normally organic. So for this reason, I'm not eating any nuts and seeds right now except for coconuts, because nearly every coconut thing that I found is raw, and you have to read labels at this point. Okay, so raw coconuts and coconut water and raw agave nectar. And I looked it up, and if it says raw agave nectar on the label, it is actually really raw. And it doesn't go above 115 to 118 degrees in the processing of that agave nectar. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you what I eat, and I can show you too. I have some of my products over here. And I'm not being paid for any of these. I'm just showing you things that that I actually eat that are not just, you know, loose, fresh, organic produce, because most of everything I eat is fresh, organic produce. Okay, so I'm going to go over my diet really quick, and it's not perfect because I'm still a work in progress. Okay, so I always start the day with purified water. I have well water, and I also am using zero filters because I have a lot of iron in my well water, and I don't know if it's the kind of iron that's good for your body, but because I'm menopausal, that means I don't have, you know, for anybody who doesn't know, that means that I'm not bloodletting every month. So because of that, iron could build up in my body too much, and I don't want that. So I suppose if I was still having a monthly cycle, I might consider just not purifying the water, because it's really just iron in it that is too much iron, because your body, when you bleed, it releases excess iron. So that's one advantage of the monthly menses, in case you didn't know. Okay, so then in the morning, I always have some type of fresh organic fruit. Today I had raspberries and watermelon. And then after my fresh organic fruit, I have some homemade raw lemonade. I make it myself with, I just fresh squeeze the lemons and add the purified water. And then I add agave nectar on a daily basis. So I just have the lemon juice in the water in my fridge. Okay, and then I make a homemade smoothie. That's what I'm going to have next. I'm looking forward to it. And I use the raw coconut water and the raw coconut flesh that comes in the bottle. Let me show you that again. Okay, so these are the ingredients for the smoothies, minus the banana. So I get this Harmless Harvest because this is cold pressure processed. Oh, let's see. It's probably easier to see over there. Okay, so that's the organic coconut water, no added sugar. You got to read ingredients. But I called them and asked them if they're heat treating and they're not pasteurized. This is not pasteurized, so that means it's not heat treated. And then the organic smoothie has the coconut meat in it, and I just put about, I don't know, like 2 cups of this, and then I add this, and then I add my chocolate protein powder. That's this over here. The raw organic Garden of Life makes it. I'm not being paid for any of this, y'all. It would be nice, but I'm just showing you what I eat. They have other flavors too if you don't like chocolate. They make like a coffee flavor, a chai tea flavor, a vanilla flavor. It's really good. So I just put like 1 scoop of that because it's very chocolatey. You don't need more than 1 scoop in. And then I add the bananas and the agave nectar. So this agave nectar I get at Aldi's, but you can also get it at Walmart, and those are the best prices. But if you are like me and you can go to the health food store, you can also get some at the health food store. Now, I only buy them when they're on sale at the health food store because it's just too expensive. So all these ingredients plus about 5 to 7 bananas, and then I top it off with the remaining coconut water, and then I blend a whole blender full, and it lasts me 4 days. It's like 4 16-ounce glasses, and I put them in jars so that I can shake them up easily. And I just reuse my jars. I don't know if you guys do that, but it's really smart to reuse your jars. Okay, so that's what I have for brunch is the smoothie. And then, like I said, I'm not perfect, so I am having a sandwich with actual bread. And I use the organic sprouted wheat bread. Publix has them. If you're in Florida, Publix has a sprouted wheat bread, or I think it's a multigrain. And it's organic, and also Whole Foods. And you can also find them in the freezer section of most grocery stores. Although I will say that, like, for taste, I have my particular one that I like the best. To me, this is just the best tasting one. It comes from Whole Foods. And no, nobody's has paid me for any of this. This is what I like. And they have 3 different types. One's like a multigrain. The other one's like a honey oat. And like I said, it's not perfect because it's not raw. But when the wheat berries are sprouted, it does become more bioavailable. It's easier to digest wheat berries that have been sprouted. I know some of y'all will say, well, I am gluten intolerant. And I would say that it's probably because you're eating like really processed foods. And once you clean up your diet, you probably will be able to eat organic sprouted bread. And also they have the oat bread. I don't know if the oat bread has wheat in it or not. But I highly recommend sprouting, because sprouting turns something from a nut and seed into a plant. And we're not really supposed to eat seeds. We're supposed to eat sprouts. Okay. So with on my sandwich, I like half an avocado. I spread it on there like mayonnaise. And then I put on the little bit of mustard, buffalo sauce, and peppers. Let me show you that. Okay, so this is the Whole Foods organic buffalo sauce. And this is the, I get this one from the Food Co-op Field Day organic mustard. And there's a lot of mustards that I like that are organic. I don't stick to one brand on that. But this one's so delicious, y'all. I have to have some kick to my sandwich, okay? I'm a work in progress. Now, I think that I may be able to make mustard and buffalo sauce by just taking the ingredients from the back of the bottle and adding those ingredients to either an unripe, or I should say an unsweet banana or plantain, or to an avocado. So I'm going to do that next. I'm going to experiment and try that because I think I should be able to do that. Okay, so with the avocado, I have a couple of slices of tomato, and I sprout my alfalfa sprouts. Next, I will have for dunch dinner. I call it dunch dinner because I have it pretty early in the day because I'm also doing intermittent fasting, and I'm just not eating late in the day. But I have organic lettuce in my salad, grape tomatoes, diced olives, half an avocado, and I make a homemade dressing. This dressing is really easy, and it's just olive oil, agave, and lemon juice. And then I will put, depending on what I want to taste that day, I may put a little garlic powder in it. I may put a little chopped onion in it. I may, just put a little cayenne in it, just depending on what type of dressing I want. So I can change that's like a dressing base, and I can add just about anything to it. And then like dried organic, all of this is organic. If I didn't mention it, it's all organic. I'm buying everything organic. And I've been buying everything organic for years. And I will tell you that I buy organic food even when I've been on food stamps. I bought organic food even when I was homeless. I dedicated myself to it. And you could do it. You could do it when you're totally broke. Because you know what? To me, health is the greater wealth. Okay? Health means more than money. And it's so much more important. So even if you think, well, I ain't got the money for that, you got to figure out a way. You got to get rid of something that's not healthy for you. Trade in all your unhealthy stuff for healthy stuff. And I make a dessert with called snowballs with dates. I put them in the food processor with shredded coconut. And I should go get that coconut bag for y'all. I forgot to bring that one. And this coconut oil, just a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of agave. And that's how those ingredients are. Let's see. Where's my coconut oil? There it is. Another snack I have too is this cold pressure processed juice. It has to say cold pressure processed on it somewhere for it to be, raw. If you want raw. And also it's organic. Or wait a minute, it's not organic? Okay, well, it's non-GMO. I thought it was organic. Y'all, I buy everything organic. Oh, well, this little label right here, I think I thought that said organic. I didn't have my glasses on. All right, and then this whole kernel virgin coconut oil. All right, y'all need to make sure it's virgin coconut oil or extra virgin coconut oil. And you have to, I keep it in the fridge, but you have to soften it in some hot water, but not too hot. You don't want to take it from a raw state to a cooked state. I went and got the coconut, shredded coconut for y'all to look at. So this one says no added sulfites or preservatives. You really got to read the labels. And somewhere on here it said it's slow dried, which I took to mean that it is raw. It says here shredded and dehydrated. It doesn't say cooked. And then somewhere else up here in the description, it said slow dried. So if it's slow dried and not quickly dried, and it says dehydrated, then most likely it is raw. And that's about it. Sometimes I'll make a little bit of garlic toast, and I use my cat's peed in my toaster, y'all. It's not funny. I had to throw the toaster away because it went inside the toaster, and I didn't know how to clean it out without maybe damaging it. So I had to throw the whole toaster away. But I use just a regular frying pan. It's like one of those copper, I think, or Greenick or something. Anyway, it's a frying pan, and I just put a little bit of oil in there. I use olive oil and on a medium-low heat. And I toast the bread on both sides. And then I add the garlic and a little bit of salt. Now, I'm doing a very low salt diet. And the only sugars I'm having are agave nectar and the natural sugar that's already in the food. So, y'all, I'm going to do another video because it's more than just what you eat. It's also what products you're cleaning with. You don't want those chemicals going in your lungs and on your skin and in your environment. It's environmental toxins and how you can avoid them. And it's, what clothing, even to what clothing you use and what furniture you buy. And there's just so many toxins in so many products. And if you can, try to buy the most natural, healthiest version of everything. You want to avoid aluminum, cooking with aluminum, etc. So I think I'm going to talk about that more in another video. I want y'all to know, I just feel like crying sometimes when I see people in public and they can barely walk. And you know what? I believe in ancient times, like Sarah and Abraham and those, I'm talking like biblical characters in ancient times. They were much healthier back then. They did not have so many man-made. I don't think they hardly had any man-made chemicals other than what they could, process something through the fire. So, we just need to get healthier as a people. And Jesus, yes, he can heal you. Jesus still heals people. He's healed me multiple times in multiple ways. He's taken away my desire to do bad substances and things that weren't good for me, drinking, smoking, marijuana, just everything that I was doing, drinking soda. He took away. So you can ask him if you're struggling to get healthy because you're addicted to certain foods. You can ask Jesus to remove the addiction, to remove the desire, and he will. He will, because God wants you to be healthy. He doesn't get any pleasure seeing you suffer from your poor life choices. So please, it actually hurts God's heart. I just know it does when he sees you suffering. Even old people, even old women and old men, you can be healthy. You need to take it slowly, though. I will say a warning of when you're transitioning from unhealthy to healthy stuff, take it slowly according to your age. If you're in your teens, 20s, you can go pretty quickly to I did it when I was in my 20s. I went from eating like a standard American diet, and in less than a month, I was raw vegan. I stayed like raw vegan for 4 years. So if I can do it when I'm in my 20s, you can do it. But then when I started to transition again because then I like fell back into eating, I was still vegetarian, but I was eating, a lot of dairy and cooked vegetarian food, and there's a lot of highly processed vegetarian food out there too. You need to be careful. So yeah, I fell back into that, and then just recently within the last 2 years, I'm like, no, we need to go back to raw vegan again, because that is when I had the most energy in my life. But I did it slowly, because I'm not going to tell you my age. But I'm Gen X, okay? I'm Gen X, and I did it slowly. I transitioned slowly back to, and I'm still transitioning. I will stop eating bread eventually. I will stop eating bread. And I will probably stop eating anything that's in a jar or a can, and just eat nothing but fresh, raw, organic fruits and vegetables, because it's the most healthiest thing you can do. So I will say right here, these types of food right here that are still in jars and bottles and bags, these are transitioning foods for me. Yeah, the extra virgin olive oil I make salad dressing with. But yeah, that's about all I had to say today. I love you guys. Thank you if you came to my channel. I appreciate you. God bless you all.